Have you thought about purchasing a townhome or a condo? And do you really know the difference? Because a lot of people don't, and there is a big difference between the two. So we're going to discuss that and more in today's episode of The Den. The Den, powered by the Lyons Group, a show dedicated to exploring hot topics in real estate, local happenings, and industry trends. We're a small team of professionals approaching $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 local transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Here's a refreshing look at real estate happenings and more. Welcome to The Den. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Den. We're going to be talking about townhome and condos today. What's the big difference and what are some of the important things you need to understand as a consumer before purchasing so it doesn't become a problem? But before I get to that, let me introduce my friends, my partners, my co-hosts, the fellow members of the Lyons Group. To my left, Paul, hand me the Rockberry, Melissa, let's go, Glasgow, Aspen, the Ninja Groen, and the boss, Shannon Martinez. Boy, I almost messed that up. My name is Ben Lyons, and I'm your host of The Den. So welcome to today's episode, all things townhome and condos. Now, a lot of people, including some realtors, don't know the difference between a townhome and a condo, but there is a big difference. And we're going to talk about some of the intricacies in today's episode. Paul, hand me the rock. What do you think the biggest differences are between a townhome and a condo?
I think I have a nickname for you, though.
You do?
Before we start.
Okay, spill it on me.
Ben Winging It Lyons.
Ben Winging It. It's appropriate and fitting.
Very.
Yep.
My peer.
Now move on.
Okay.
So with this hard-hitting, interesting topic that we have here, condos versus townhomes. We don't have a lot of condos in this area. Where I grew up in Massachusetts, condos were going up everywhere, and I remember that was kind of the cool thing. You go and you buy your condo and in downtown, and it's that's kind of like a luxury apartment was kind of what our condos were. But condos, there's like, you have limited ownership in a condo. So townhomes, I think, are much better because you have full ownership in those.
And when you're talking full ownership, I mean, explain the difference between the physical building of a condo and a townhome.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, this is nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Can't be wrong right here. Yeah, dirt. Yeah. So a condo, you don't own the land, and a townhome, you do.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I know more on the lending side. So if you want to do the construction of it, I can come back on the lending side, maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, to clarify what you're saying, so with a townhome, you actually own the exterior of the building all the way down to the dirt and all below the dirt, excluding mineral rights.
Yep.
With a condo, you just own the interior, right? So the interior of the building. So there's a whole nother set of problems or things to think about when you don't own your own roof.
Well,
right?
there's, and a bunch of additional fees in a condo association.
And why would they have those fees?
Because a condo association maintains the exterior of the buildings, the grounds, the roads, all those things. Amenities, yeah.
Pools, gyms, if they have any.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So typically condos, and not necessarily always the case, but I would say the vast majority, I can't think of any reason it wouldn't, they would have an association, right? The condo association, and the condo association takes care of the exteriors, like you said, the infrastructure to a large degree, the pools, the common areas, but they charge a fee for that. And sometimes those fees are pretty hefty, but you start parsing it out, does it make sense? So we have some condos here locally, the Villa View condos. A lot of people look at the monthly condo association fee and they go, ooh, that's kind of high. And then you break it down and go, wait a minute. You don't have to take care of your roof. You don't have to take care of your stucco siding. The water, the sewer, the sanitation, and all the common areas are included. But not only that, you get a break on your insurance because you're only insuring the inside of your building. So there's actually some good value there. But a lot of people back away from that. Melissa, what is your experience with condos and townhomes and selling them? Have you run into any difficult situations with financing on those?
Well, I owned one in Albuquerque.
Okay. Yeah. Fill us in.
And it was the first home that we ever bought. It was great. All I remember is signing like 1 million pieces of paper, and that was it. I don't remember getting inspections. I'm sure we did. No clue. All these things. It's great for somebody maybe who isn't ready to take on responsibility of maintaining a yard and everything that comes along with that, because you could have, a vast amount of yard you have to take care of because you don't want to have the ugliest yard on the street, right? Like you want to have it taken care of. As a realtor, selling different condos or townhomes, it does get a little bit iffy on the lending because depending on the condo association, if they're in the black, probably no issues. If they're in the red, you're going to have a harder time getting financing. If the owner occupant is lower than the tenant side, you're going to have issues getting certain loan types. It is just something that you really have to communicate very much with the person purchasing, with their lender. Of course, they're also going to have to make sure they can get insurance as well, depending on the condition. So
yes, so great points there, really great points. And I like the way you pronounce realtor.
You like that?
Yeah, realtor.
I also said in all caps.
Yeah,
and did you hear the little registered R?
I did hear that. Great job.
I did.
Yeah, this eardrum heard it.
Well, those are great points because if your occupancy is more tenant occupied in an association, let's say you have 100 units and 51 of those are tenant occupied and 49 are owner occupied, you all of a sudden fall out of the category where you can be backed by a secondary mortgage. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they peel back their backing on properties like that because they don't want to invest or back loans that are primarily occupied by tenants. Yeah. So Aspen, I know you've done a lot of real estate, obviously north of the border. Have you sold much up in Purgatory area?
There's condos everywhere in Durango. Even in town, up Glacier, Purgatory, Cascade. Yeah, they're all over. The lending's a little bit different because it is so popular. I've had people get first-time homebuyer loans on what we call them condo-tels, because a lot of them some of them are half hotels, half owned by,
right, yeah.
I guess owners that use it either for vacation or to rent out. But yeah, so there's condo-tels that do a lot of lending. So, and that's actually, it's kind of nice because with those, you don't only get, those other things, but you might get also like Wi-Fi, cable, phone, any trash removal. There's a lot that goes into it, especially up in Colorado. There's snow removal is huge. So there's a lot of, granted, the HOAs are much, much higher, but they actually give you kind of a lot for it. Sometimes water's included as well.
So you get good bang for the buck for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me ask this, with the lending component there, are those in-house loans? Those local banks that are making those loans?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. And I am a big believer in staying in my own lane. And I don't know much about lending, but I know that I've had a first-time home buyer get a loan on a condo-tel at Glacier, and it was an FHA loan. So I'm assuming there's some kind of loophole that they have, and I just trust the lenders that they know.
Yeah.
Understood.
Let them do their job.
Yep.
Yeah. Shannon, what are your thoughts here locally? Obviously, we have townhomes and we have condos. What would be, if you were a buyer, what would you be thinking about pros and cons between the two?
So I would say consider a townhome. Since you're going to share walls. You're still going to share walls. You're going to own the interior, the exterior, and the ground underneath. But you don't have somebody dictating what you're going to do with the exterior. So this is why you see townhomes that one's painted yellow, one's painted blue. One's got a gray roof, one's got a blue roof, and they're completely hooked together. So consider, can you live with that? That's one issue because you don't have a standalone property. You are attached to somebody's wall.
And in all fairness, there are associations with townhomes that do dictate what type of roof you can have or what type of stucco.
Not every townhome has an association either.
That's correct.
So you consider that. You also may still even own the exterior, and there may be rules from your HOA that says, well, you can't put up solar panels or you can't do certain things out there, even though you own it, because with the condo, you're not going to be able to do that anyway. You don't own that. But that causes a problem too. You've got people that say, but I own a townhome. I own the exterior. I want to do this. And you still have the restrictions on it. So there are pros and cons to it. I think that it's nice when you talked about being a first home buyer. The first home that you're buying, you may not really be ready for home ownership. It takes a lot. When you consider you have to keep up the maintenance and you have to do certain things. And, I just kind of want to pay my rent and be taken care of, but I don't want to pay rent and just have all the interest. I want to build something. So that's nice. You also may not be able, as that first time home buyer, to purchase something that has a pool that has a gym, that has the amenities that you want, has a nice picnic area and a big, sprawling open area for your kids to play and stuff. I can't afford that stuff, but with an HOA, with a condo, and maybe they offer those kind of amenities for only, $300 extra a month, I get all that. Whereas if I were maintaining it myself, it would cost me more than that.
Right.
So there are drawbacks and there are pluses. I think it really depends on your own personal preference and what you're looking for.
And this is a question for anyone, but do you see any difference in appreciation over the years between a condo and a townhome? Aspen, you want to take that?
In San Juan County, I would say townhomes appreciate faster, but in Colorado, the condos are right up there with them. Some of them have tripled in price in the last few years.
I think the interesting thing about that, though, is that, when you look at condos, who's your typical condo buyer in Durango? It's going to be a retiree. It's a second home. Yeah. They don't want to do the maintenance. They don't want to keep up with that, or if they are a retiree, they're not going to go out and shovel snow. They don't want to do those things anymore. So that is huge to think about. Of course, that would be a lot more appealing because most of those buyers up there that's not their primary residence.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here I don't think condos have even appreciated much at all in the last 5 years.
They really have
a little bit, but not crazy.
And I think part of the tamping down the appreciation with the condos here locally is that we are in that situation that you mentioned, Melissa, in the sense that there's more tenant occupied units, so it doesn't fall under Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac backing. And so the buyers for those properties have to bring typically 25% for a down payment. And that's a lot for buyers looking for a condo like that.
One thing that I wish we had more of in San Juan County were more condos or townhomes, because they are, I don't know if you guys are going to disagree with me, but they are typically a little bit more affordable for the first time home buyers or the retarees. Mm-hmm. Something that I feel San Juan County lacks is, higher quality townhomes or condos, even high quality apartments we don't have here, but that's something that I would like to see happening in our area because it would give more opportunity for property ownership.
Yeah, this area is swelling with, incoming population and we're running out of options for housing. That's a great way to handle some of that demand. Paul, what are your thoughts? If you were a developer, would you build condos or would you build townhomes?
That's a good question. Again, I'm on the legislative committee at the state, and one of the big things that we talk about every year is the Condo Association Act, because these rules that we're talking about for condos are not lender rules or anything like that. They're actually legislation on how many owner-occupied, how many renters, how many, what the association has to keep on the books, all of those things. So we're yearly trying to fight them from making it harder for people to own condos. If I was a developer, this area is a tough one because we had a couple of good multi-unit buildings going up and the city council did not approve the building of them because some of the neighbors said, you're going to obstruct my view. And they went with the neighbors instead of putting up affordable housing. So I've actually had a couple of conversations with some people in City Hall to say the state has an obscene amount of money for affordable housing. And I'm going to try to work with them to see how we can get some here. But yeah, I fully agree with that. We don't have enough high-end stuff here for people.
I'm just curious, how do those conversations go in the city? I mean, do you grab them and give them a noogie? Is that how you start the...
What in the world are you talking about?
That's how you strong-arm legislators. I know.
No, well, the legislators, you don't get to do that with them. No, they kick you out pretty quick for doing that stuff. No, but there's
bodyguards and stuff.
But there's conversations being had all the time. And actually, if you go to some planning and zoning meetings, you go to some city council meetings, people are trying to build here. And it's really actually kind of hard to build.
Yeah.
We say we only have 7% of San Juan County is private property. Well, the people that own it are holding it pretty tightly and not letting us develop.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, I mean, we're 6 to 7% privately held in San Juan County, which doesn't give you a lot of land to develop. And of course, you're trying to tie into city utilities and things like that because having a septic system for a 50-unit complex just isn't practical, right? I would hope that the city would look at lowering some barriers. Not a lot. I mean, you have to have these regulations in place, but for the protection of everybody, but lower the barriers a little bit to allow some of these developers to build out. Mm-hmm. Aspen, what are your thoughts? If you were a developer, you're going to build a townhome or a condo complex, which would you go for?
Neither. I do apartments.
There you go.
But if I was a developer, I would do condos. You can get more units in. I think it just makes a little bit more sense if you're talking development. But I know you can get some nice, fourplexes or something that would be townhomes. Those are nice as well. A mix of both would be great. Just options. We just don't have many options here.
Yeah. And north of the border, like you said, there's a lot more options, but it's a different clientele. To Shannon's point, there's different buyers for those. And if we're talking about something that's affordable for maybe first-time home buyers or whatnot, maybe the condo townhome development would be a good development. I agree.
And we have a lot of retahirees that move to our area as well. And I know I've helped several that they're like, wow, we just left a 2,000 square foot home. It's too much for us.
Yeah.
We want something smaller. And there's very little to choose from. So
yeah.
Condos, I think, they make a little bit more sense. Maybe you can have an elevator in them. I feel like a lot of townhomes are like they're built tall to put more in one space. And then the bedrooms are all upstairs. And that doesn't make sense for a lot of people, not just retirees. So
have you heard my knees?
Yeah. Pop, 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 pop.
So I think if you could get a condo with, an elevator and some additional amenities, maybe a gym or a pool, would be really appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So Shannon, same question for you. If you were, let's take this a different direction. If you were running the city or running a municipality, what would you be doing to encourage people to develop these types of properties?
I don't even know.
You know,
I don't know what you would do to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some tax breaks or things like that. Might be good to encourage builders to come in and start taking those chances. That's probably more of a question for Nate Duckett.
We need to get Nate in here.
City, so
yeah, we need to get Nate in here for sure. Put him on the hot seat.
But I would say some incentives of some sort. The city could definitely give incentives to some builders to do that, and if they did that, that might help encourage some of that. And I do think that those types of properties would be sold very quickly. I think they'd be very desirable. I think there's definitely a market, and it's something we're not providing. This town does not provide that market. We've got very, very limited.
Yes. And if you are a mayor in this area, we're going to be giving you a call. So not just Nate in the hot seat. There's several mayors, obviously, but we're going to have some conversations because housing affordability is a hot point right now. We are having an influx of population. We really need to tackle these things and get ahead of them because it takes time. It takes years to build these developments out, but we got to lay the groundwork now for some affordability in housing. I'm going to segue into something else with the insurance component for condos. I ran into one issue. You remember this issue that we had with a condo where the roof actually leaked and caused a big mess in the condo, but the condo association did pay for it. And so the reason I bring that up is because insurance is a hot topic right now. And when you're insuring a condo, it's very different than a townhome. And I was just giving the example, Paul and I were just talking. We go to a church together, and we had an insurance rider that we were coming up for renewal. They sent a drone over the building, and they sent a letter and said, you have 60 days to replace your roof. And so insurance companies are on the prowl right now. So those are the things you need to be thinking about. If you're buying a townhome, you're going to be responsible for those roofs. If you're buying a condo, it's the association component that plays into that. So for affordability, you need to weigh out all of those components. Any other thoughts on condos versus townhomes that we should be thinking for first-time home buyers, or if it's a second home? Anything you want to share or put light on?
The town I grew up in is North Attleboro, Massachusetts. Every time I go back there's 4 or 5 new apartment complexes, and they sell them like condos. So you actually own the apartment, can resell it. You're not renting from the apartment association. If we did something like that and they go up, there's like 5 of them in the center of town. They're 5 stories tall, fully occupied as soon as they open.
Because they could pre-sell them.
Yeah, and the population boom over there. We could do that here easily. I don't know why we don't do more of those things and sell them like a condo.
Co-ops would be desirable. I just think people don't know what they are, but it really does make sense especially whenever we're talking about the affordability of housing, like it makes sense to have a bunch of people go in on something together.
I would invest in something like that, I think, a lot quicker than my dream, which is, a 1960s site-built house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really, that's what I want, but it makes so much more sense to invest in something like that.
Yeah. Especially if you could pre-sell. That's a great idea. So you heard it here on the Den first.
You heard it from me first.
That's right. That's right.
Paul is the mind behind this
he
operation.
is the mind. No, I think there's a lot of great opportunities here, and we just really need to peel back some layers on it. And condos and townhomes can be the way to help with housing affordability and provide more housing for people just in general, but especially for the retirees too. You get into installing elevators and some of these other things, but all necessary and the numbers can still work. Mm-hmm. So it just is a matter of peeling back some of that red tape that we get into with these become development friendly, our municipalities, if you're listening. So on to our speed round. And Paul, I'm going to kick off with you. Condo or townhome, which is better to purchase?
I think for the resale, it's a townhome. I think there's more you can do with it. Condo is very restrictive on ownership. I think for me, it's a townhome.
Okay, fair enough. Melissa?
Ditto.
Double ditto. I haven't heard ditto in a while. Mm-hmm. Aspen?
Again, I'm going to kind of go on the opposite thing here. I don't think everybody should buy a house or needs to buy a house or wants to buy a house. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe the townhome aspect, but maybe they don't want to rent. So they're like, man, I really don't want to take care of anything on the outside, but I don't want to rent. I still want to own something. In that case, condo might be better. But if you want to have a little bit more flexibility, maybe not have an HOA, a townhome. So it kind of just depends what you're wanting.
Okay, fair enough. Great answer. Shannon?
I'm with Aspen on that. I think it just depends on your priorities.
Yeah.
The first-time home buyer might really like the townhome aspect and have a small yard to themselves and things like that. And the retiree may say, I'm tired of mowing lawns. I don't want any of that. I'm not working on my roof. Or vice versa. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think there's one that's better than the other. It just really depends on the needs.
Yeah. Great answer.
They're both good options.
Yeah. You guys are like politicians today.
Yeah, we are.
Too.
Mm-hmm. We please everybody. Yeah.
I love it. Well, and my thoughts are very similar to yours. Townhomes make a lot of sense for versatility and appreciation in this local area. But if you're really not wanting to take care of the exteriors and you want to be more on a fixed budget and you don't have to worry about stucco replacement or roof replacements, condos make a lot of sense. So hopefully we can see more developments there and we'll see what happens. So Nate Duckett and some of the other mayors, we're calling you out. We're going to have you on here. We're going to have some conversations. It's going to be good. Maybe we should do a panel situation. Yeah. Just, it'd be.
We don't have enough room around the table.
That's right. Add some more chairs. So, okay, on to my favorite part of the podcast, and that is the Lyons Pride section. As Lyons Group members, we give back to our community in special and unique ways. We love highlighting individuals, events, or organizations that do the same and welcome them to the Lyons Pride. So, Shannon, it is your go today. Who would you like to acknowledge for the Lyons Pride?
So, I've thought a lot the last couple of weeks about this gentleman. On the 1st of this month, we lost Tommy Bolak. And, I know he's been a bit of a controversial figure over the years in our area. Some people love him, some people hate him. But at the end of the day, he's a good citizen in our community, Every year, just as a gift to his community, he does the fireworks. That costs him anywhere between $14,000 and $16,000 every year that he does them. He packs most of them himself. He buys a few of the shells, the larger ones, but he does it himself. He keeps things going down there at B Square Ranch. If nobody's ever gone there, you should really go and check it out. There's some really interesting things down there in his museum. And, they employ a lot of people and they take care of their community. They give back a lot. I was down there at one point just taking my grandkids through the museum. And, as I walked out, he said, do you like fresh vegetables? And I said, of course I do. And he sent one of his workers over to go to their garden and bring me a bag of some stuff. It just, when he ran for sheriff a few years back, I know, he really, there was a lot of controversy there as well, and I think he was maybe in some ways unfairly treated. I don't know if it was fair or not. But what I can say is I did listen to him speak at a forum with several of the other candidates, and they all were phenomenal. But what I can say is I found him to be thoughtful. I found him to really believe in what he was pursuing. I don't think he had any ulterior motives. I think that he was very thoughtful in wanting to better his community. I think that he's gotten a little bit of a bum rap, but I think he was a very good citizen. I think he was probably a better citizen than some of the citizens we have in this in this area. He definitely always gave back, and he deserves to be recognized, eccentric or not, for his good work that he did do in his time in San Juan County. He spent his whole life here, and I definitely think he showed that he cared about his community.
That's awesome, Shannon. That really is. I mean, I could see why you put a lot of thought into that. And I don't know have you all been to the B Square Ranch. It's pretty incredible with how they have preserved, they've got all the animals that they've preserved over the years, and they have a whole museum, and it's a free tour. You can get some history of the area, but not only that, what they've done with the kind of the preserve behind their ranch, right, is pretty incredible. And he's been a big donator to a lot of local organizations in our downtown and the Elks Club and things like that.
He has really cared for the community and been a good steward of the community throughout his adult life. Like I said, regardless of what, controversy or people may think of him, he has done well by his community. Yeah. He has done well by all of us.
And I think that's a fair statement. Yeah. I mean, we're all a little eccentric, right?
Sure.
We're all a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me. I'm as weird as they come. So, but that's what, hey, I don't know why you guys let me steer the boat. I mean,
we're questioning it.
Yeah, we're in rocky waters. But Shannon, great pick.
Yeah.
And Tommy Bullock, rest his soul. We need more individuals like you. And if you are associated with the Bee Ranch or part of his foundation, I know he has a foundation. We want to see you. We want to recognize you and thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for the contributions that you've done to our community, and welcome to the Lyons Pride. So thank you for that. It was very special. Okay, so we are wrapping things up. If you would like to schedule a consultation with any one of the Lyons Group members to get an advantage in this market, please reach out to us. You can access all of our contact information on our webpage at sjcbroker.com. You can also follow our Facebook page. You can go to our Instagram, our TikTok, and our YouTube channel, which we're putting up content on a continuous basis, and hopefully good content. If you would like us to talk about a specific topic, let us know. I need coffee today. Holy moly.
Sign off.
Yeah, we're going to sign off. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. Until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you for listening to The Den, powered by the Lyons Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed on real estate happenings. If you'd like to learn more about the Lyons Group, visit sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lyons Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.